Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Leadoff Spot. I'm Chris Sheeran. Today we're talking Rays and Yankees with Fox Sports Florida writer Andrew Azelford. Andrew, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it, buddy.
Oh, sounds good. Enjoy it.
Let's start off with the way both of these teams look a little different than they did the last time they met up, and that, of course, is because of the trading deadline. It's kind of like that old Bon Jovi song, It's All the Same, only the names have changed. So how's that going to play into this series, Andrew?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to watch. This is, of course, a big series for both teams, given both clubs are hoping to crack that second wild card spot there in the American League. So it's going to be interesting to follow. Of course, the Rays are beginning life without David Price, part of that blockbuster deal with Detroit Tigers and Seattle Mariners as well there in July 31st. So, I think from the Rays' perspective, there'll be some unfamiliarity involved with Shane Green and Brandon McCarthy, of course. They don't have much background against McCarthy at all, but Shane will be a complete unknown for them. So, that'll be interesting to follow. But, the Rays will bring out Alex Cobb, Drew Smyly, who they got in that trade with the Tigers, and then Jeremy Hellickson as well. So they have some arms that have potential, of course, and the Yankees are familiar with all three, with Smiley's time in the American League as well. So, yeah, this will be a fun series to follow. Definitely always interesting when these two teams tangle together, and some potential wild card implications as well for this one.
You brought up David Price. Now, we all know what this guy brought to the mound for the Rays every 5 days. We get that. We know he was leading the major leagues in strikeouts when he left the Tampa Bay Rays. Here's something that people maybe don't understand. It's what I like to call the clubhouse quotient of a player. So how much is he going to be missed, not only the rest of this year, but in future years in that Rays clubhouse?
Yeah, it remains to be seen, but it's definitely a big loss. And as far as that X factor goes, like you said, I think it's just his presence there. He was kind of a de facto coach to a lot of these guys, a pitching coach for guys like Alex Cobb, who you would rise to be the ace in waiting for the Rays. Also Jeremy Hellickson and Matt Moore, who's injured right now, but he's learned a lot from David as well. Chris Archer considered David practically a mentor for him as he kind of found his way within this Rays rotation. If a new leader rises, perhaps an Alex Cobb down the line, and if someone else can fill that void. But the Rays will definitely need someone to do that and see if they can move on without David.
Do you think it will be Alex Cobb filling that void in the future? Is that your gut?
Yeah, definitely. That's my gut feeling. This is a guy who, when he came back from the concussion last year, was arguably pretty much the Rays' best pitcher at that point. He was so consistent late in the year. He was the starter when the Rays won their lone game against the Red Sox in the ALDS. Last season. I would expect him to be the guy who would rise in that role, definitely. When you listen to this guy talk, he's definitely mature, aware. He's a grounded guy, definitely intellectual as well, so he's smart on the mound and off it. So this is a guy I believe who has maturity to be the leader of the Rays rotation in the future, and could definitely blossom well for Tampa Bay.
When it comes to the Rays, there are some certain guys who step up. I mean, these are guys that aren't doing that well during the season, with the exception, of course, of James Loney, who's leading the team with a .286 average. But you talk about guys like Loney, Will Myers, Desmond Jennings, and Evan Longoria. When Yankee pitching shows up, when the pinstripes or the road grays are around, these guys bring their bats. What's up with that, Andrew?
It's one of those things about baseball. You just never know. Sometimes the matchups work well for whatever reason for some guys against some teams, and that's the way it is with those three you mentioned, James Loney, Will Myers, and Desmond Jennings, Evan Longoria as well. So it's sure interesting. But you mentioned some of those guys. Will Myers, he's been out with a right wrist sprain since the Boston injury on May 30th, so he was struggling before this. Evan Longoria insists he's healthy, but he's under his career averages. Usually this team goes where Evan Longoria leads, and it's definitely worrisome that he hasn't produced up to the point that he's capable of and what he's done in the past. But, Desmond Jennings is another player as well you mentioned, who has had his numbers decline a little bit overall this season. He's had some hot streaks this year, but just hasn't been able to put it all together all season long.
Yeah, that's a lot of the problem for both of these teams. We'll leave you with this, Andrew. Those four guys that we just mentioned, they have 17 extra base hits out of their 52 hits against Yankee pitching this season. So that means, all of my math whizzes out there, 33% of the time that these guys come to the plate, they're not stopping at first base.
Oh, exactly. That's a big thing, too. And you can get that extra base and put yourself in scoring position. That's what the Rays, of course, want to do. And especially a player like Desmond Jennings, who has the best speed on the on the team. If you can
Wheels, yeah.
second base, yeah, exactly. That's so huge. So the Rays will definitely want to try to do that this weekend. So if they can make that happen, of course, that'll bode well for them and get some of that speed on at second base. That'd be a good thing for them.
All right, Andrew, that's going to do it for the leadoff spot. Thanks for hopping out with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm Chris here, and we'll see you next time.